Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we're going to dive into a deep conversation about relationships, self-esteem, and knowing your worth. Kia Proctor, the mother of 4 of Cam Newton's children, recently shared a video about her experience co-parenting with him and why she decided to walk away after he had a child with another woman. Before we dive in, let me ask this. What should come first? Love, marriage, and a baby carriage? We want to hear your comments. So let those comments start coming because we want to discuss what you think. Or do you think that Black women sometimes get the order wrong? It's a heavy question, but one worth exploring. Women are getting trapped in situationships every day, whether the man is rich or not. So today we're going to get into what choosing yourself looks like, both emotionally and financially. Now, Kia Proctor met Cam Newton in 2012. And by the time their relationship ended, they had 4 children together. It all came to a head when Cam had a baby with another woman. Kia had to walk away, choosing herself and her kids over a toxic situation. In her own words, she thought they were heading toward marriage, but the signs just weren't there. So let's get into what this means for all women: choosing yourself, building your own foundation, and ensuring that you're never left empty-handed emotionally or financially in a relationship. Now, I am Laura Lalaki. I'm an international real estate agent, but I am joined today by my fabulous co-queens, Constance Carter, wealth activist, Dr. Alicia Watkins, our certified therapist, and Dr. Lene, our monetization strategist. So ladies, before we jump into this, I want us to actually watch the video where Kia is explaining her situation. And it's a little heartbreaking to hear because she obviously thought they were going down the marriage road. So let's check this out.
Through a public breakup, and that was that. And then me and my partner, we separated. So I'm a single mom of 5. 5 kids later, people always ask, "Oh, why are you, like, what happened with your marriage?" Or like, "Why you're not in a relationship?" And I always say I was never married, but the relationship, I thought it was going towards marriage. And then my partner at the time had an outside baby. And he kind of wanted to force it on me. And I wasn't really ready to, I mean, I don't really know how to describe this or talk about this. He had a baby outside of our relationship that I was not okay with. And we were not married. So I'm like, if I'm not about to deal with this, because I thought what we had was something way more special than the way you're treating it. And I felt like I had no choice but to leave. I had to choose me and my kids over what he was about to put me through. So here we are.
Body language says a whole lot. She's still crushed about this, guys. That says a lot. I mean, you can see it all in her eyes. So Dr. Lene, Kia left Cam Newton because he had a baby with another woman. And obviously they had 4 children together. She has 5 children because she had her own child before Cam. So do you think that women put up with too much in a relationship?
That's a double-edged sword. Do you think women put up with too much in relationships? I think that a woman will stay until she can't stay anymore. And I think only that woman can determine if it's too much, because what is too much for one woman, another woman will stay longer. So I don't think that there's an accurate measure of what too much is, because it varies from woman to woman. On the outside, we can look at the situation and be like, she stayed way too long. But one of the things that I'm recognizing and realizing as I'm growing older and I'm dating is things that you think you won't do. When you are the person that's in the situation, you sometimes make a different choice and decision. It's easier to look at somebody else's situation and be like, there ain't no way. No, ma'am. And then you get in the situation and you're like, well, now I'm not saying it would be that one. It might not be that specific one, but there are variations to what we will do when it's our situation and we're the one that's in it.
It's easy to be the sideline cheerleader, right? When you're not in, when you're the one who's not in it. It's always to give somebody else advice, but then you sometimes can't give your own self advice. That's one of the hard things in life. It's so easy to want for other people, but we also want for ourselves as well. So it's kind of, I'm with you. It's very thin line. Dr. Alicia, how does choosing yourself, because she's talking about choosing herself, what does that mean to you for relationships and finances? Because she's got 5 kids. And so now she has to make sure that she provides for those as well. I don't know what Cam's situation is when if he's helping, what his financial situation is. But us as mothers, we always think about what we need to do to feed our babies. So what does choosing yourself mean?
Well, she talked about a deep-seated level of betrayal that she experienced with him, and the pain and hurt that goes along with his disregard for her and her feelings. And if you're in a relationship with someone who is flippant about how you feel, you can have children by this person, and that individual doesn't care about your feelings, your psychological health. They just tell you one thing, leading her to believe that there was something special between them. And clearly, this whole thing that he seemed to have delivered a message that this was heading toward marriage. I don't know if she was in denial about certain things. I don't know what the nature of those conversations were, but she was betrayed. She was hurt. Who can put themselves through continuous feelings of hurt and expect to go on and be mentally healthy? So I think the best thing that a mom can do is try to work on a situation where it's a loving household for everybody. And if the other person is not on board with that, then sometimes you do need to preserve yourself, because what good are you to your children if you're miserable and going through what I would consider emotional and psychological abuse?
I can see that definitely, because mostly women, especially when it comes to children, we become mama bears. That's what I call them. We call mama bears. A lot of times we could put up with stuff when it's just us, but when we have children involved, we turn into mama bears. And y'all know what it's like to hear that bears and their cubs, you better run, because all hell is going to break loose. So I could just see that in her voice. I would absolutely love to hear what our viewership family thinks about this. Big Mac says this woman was clearly delusional and wishing upon a star if she thought Cam was going to marry her. Constance, what do you think about that? Do you think that she was delusional?
I don't think that she was delusional, because we don't know what the conversation was between the two of them. He may have promised her that he was going to marry her. They may have talked about it. But you know what? I salute her for standing on business, because you think about people who have much less, have way ain't shit dudes who don't have half a tenth of nothing, but will stay rock with a guy who not only cheats on them, lies on them, abuses them, causes them all kind of trauma. So kudos to her for saying, you know what? I thought this is where this was heading. It would be easier for me to stay. It will be comfortable for me to stay, but I'm not going to. Because I deserve more. And so for her to say, I deserve more than and live, kind of have an easy life and be willing to accept everything that he gives. She said, no, I'm gonna stand on business and I'm gonna do this myself. And karma's a bitch. I don't give a damn who you are. You can have all the money in the world, but that is going to come back on you. So people think that they hold these celebrities in such high regards and act like they're above reproach, and they're not. Just because he's Cam Newton, he's a talented football player, he has a great podcast, he makes a lot of money, he is not morally above reproach. And so I find it disgusting, especially if, they made plans. Obviously, she's not delusional, because they've talked. They were obviously talking about it, but he didn't hold up his end of the bargain, which is sad.
It is sad, but I also want to highlight a couple of things that one of our awesome viewers who's here every day, Big Mac, we appreciate you. We love having conversations with you, but he's definitely saying things like nobody but to blame but herself. She should have left before she got pregnant. And I'm not so sure that I can agree with that. Before you're pregnant, you're not even really sure what you're getting into. And I'm with you, Constance. He could have promised her the moon. And matters of the heart are one of the hardest things that we have to deal with in life.
Hard things are hard things. You hear me?
Yes. Yes, it will rip you apart. And you think that you have things in order, but if you don't have someone who's also working for the same goal, then how are we supposed to do that? Dr. Alicia, do you think that she's to blame for this? And why do we put that on women?
I'm really curious about how we can put 100% of the blame on a woman for being trusting of someone that they probably never should have trusted. I think what we need to blame, if anything, is quite a bit, but he absorbs a lot of that blame. I don't know how we can blame a victim who was a victim of betrayal and blame this person. Now, it could be that maybe there was signs and red flags that she chose to ignore. Maybe there's some limericks. She was in love with the possibility of being a wife, being on the cover of Time magazine with the beautiful children. It could very well be that maybe she was in some sort of denial. Maybe he was telling her, not in a very specific way, but maybe she was falling in love with the idea of what a husband would be for her, and this sort of idea, and did not sit down before you have children, sit down with them and make sure that this person, and give it time, that this person is the right kind of person, who's trustworthy, who's transparent, who tells you everything. There's no way you find out about an extra child and then all of a sudden he's forcing on her. He's forcing this situation on her that she was never comfortable with. Why didn't they have those conversations earlier?
Right. Well, that brings us back to the main question. And Dr. Lene, I want to hear your answer on this. What's the order?
I want to respond to what Dr. Alicia said first, because you can do all those things and still end up in this situation, right? So to the order thing,
true that.
I don't want to say that the order does not matter, but the order don't matter, because you can get love, marriage, a baby carriage, and he still cheat and he still have a baby. So the order doesn't matter. Is there a right way to do it? Yes. You should do love. You should get to know the person. You should build a foundation, then get married, find some grounding in your marriage, and then have some children and grow. Yes, that's probably that is the right way to do it, but it doesn't matter. You can do all the things the right way and still end up in this situation. If you don't have two parties, a man and a woman, that are on the same page, in this case, I'm not going to blame Cam. I was going to say you have a man that don't want to act right, but I think it's equal parties. To what Big Mac was saying, after the second baby, I'm probably like, what we doing, bro? After the second one, the third one for sure, like, where is this going? But it's not her fault, because matters of the heart, like Constance says, you love this man. You like, okay, let me just give him a little bit more time. Let me give him a little more time. Maybe let me see where this is going. And then as a man, you should recognize and know, you should tell this woman, I don't think this is what I want. I think I still want to be out here in these streets.
But yeah, you still giving her more and more babies. That's the shit that I don't like.
Yeah, it's two parties. It's two parties. So again, I don't think the order, I think there is an order, but I don't think it matters when it comes to the outcome.
I agree with you. And I am sure we have so much more to discuss on this, but now we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we'll get into some more of this story.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens, that's Queens, that's Queens, to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
That's easy. So go ahead and get that phone and do that right now so that you don't miss a show. Let's jump back into this. we ask everyone, and I'm still asking that question. I would love to hear some more comments about, do you think that order matters? But we clearly know that this order didn't work for her. So I'm Dr. Alicia, do you think that having children makes it even harder for them to leave, both emotionally and financially? Because at that time, you are looking at the finances of raising these babies and putting food in their mouth. So do you think that makes it harder once you have the children to leave?
It is, the commitment level is at a different place, right? So if you have children with someone, you are attached to that person for the rest of your life. It's like, think about, we got holidays, we have graduations, we have marriages, we have grandchildren potentially. So there it is in and of itself, having children is a commitment. Okay. And so I think that's just the key. And I've said this before, and I want to say it again. The best way to love your children is to give love to the parents of the child, the other parent. In some way, you have to find it within yourself to, if the relationship doesn't turn out and you're in a co-parenting situation, you have to find it in yourself to really pick out things that you are admirable about that other parent and focus on that if the relationship dissolves. I think the best thing you can do if you're an intact family and you're having some marital issues, you can't stay together for the sake of the children. That never works out. Children can tell, right? Try to work on the actual genuine love between you and that other person so that you can demonstrate something healthy for your children. I think the best thing you could do to have and we talk about, there's nothing that can substitute a loving household. And in that, those two parents, the adults in that household, has to demonstrate genuine love for those children. And that's just the key for, raising healthy children so that when they grow up, they can love themselves enough to know what they deserve in a relationship.
Well, now I know, Constance, you talk about this a lot. You talk about how your children knew and were like, "Will you stay so long?" Right? You've shared that story with us. So, it's clear that the children see these things, and the impact to me sounds like they cared about how you were feeling. Am I correct in that? What's your experience with that?
Absolutely. I mean, kids don't want to be in any toxic situation, when they're little and they don't know the difference. Because I remember my son used to be like, "Mom, you guys will never get a divorce, will you?" And I was like, "No." Okay, I gotta thug this shit out. God dang. However, the thing I think that bothers me is that where we are today is that men especially are more committed to having children than having a wife. They would rather give you a baby than give you a ring. And that's a whole problem. I do believe that, the order of things, it's like, I'm not making that commitment to be married to nobody, but I can make a commitment to have a child with you. And I still got to deal with you for the rest of my life and your life, as long as we have this child. So I don't understand why they don't have a problem in putting a baby in a woman, but they have a problem putting a ring on her finger. If she's good enough to make a baby with, why is she then not good enough to marry?
But here, let's
My
talk
mom
about
always
that. Is she good enough? We're not talking about kids specifically. Let me preface that. Is she good enough to make a baby with? Because a lot of men, not all, but some, majority.
Well, y'all, after 5, I think he figured that shit out.
Again, I'm not talking about him and her specifically. I'm talking in general. You said if she's good enough to make a baby with, she should be good enough to put a ring on it. Men are having babies with women that they don't know, that they accidentally got pregnant, that they slept with unprotected on the first night. They're having babies with women that they don't know. So they don't even know if she's good enough to put a ring on it.
Yeah, that's why they need to practice self-control or protection. You a grown-ass man. You don't know how to protect yourself? I mean, really, to be honest with you, when you think about having a child, is actually kind of on the man more, because they have the birth control pool. You know what I'm saying? They have the ability to have the birth control pool, if you get my drift, or protect. So, the man is responsible. They try to put it off on the woman, like, it's her body, but protect yourself so that you don't have to do that. Like, be a man, like, be responsible. Why can't you just be responsible? And I feel that everything that you're saying, because my mama always said, watch who you have babies by. You know, because that's a lifetime commitment. But people are not being responsible, and they're just in anybody, unfortunately. But you know, I think that we just got to have a more of a moral aptitude about how we're dealing with people. But shit,
Well, here's my
are
thing.
black men
It
even doing
seems
that these
like
days?
But it seems like you have this whole new culture of men who feel like they need to procreate with everybody and anything that moves. Look at Nick Cannon. What kind of quality of life are those children going to have? He even says, as a gift to them, that he will let them come and see me for Father's Day.
That's stupid as
That ain't
shit.
no present. So to me, Cam also is falling into this where he seems to be having all these children. He's not the only one. And I really hate that we're putting this on the women. Yes, you know, heart matters and things like that. Yes, after you've had 2 or 3, okay, that's none of my business. After that point, you need to be checking yourself, boo. But also, we can't be putting all of this on the women. We have to at some point say these men have to be responsible for who they're bringing forth in this world, and what kind of example is this putting to our children, because you can't just go out here having babies with everybody, Mama and Mary and Jesus and everybody else, and then saying, I got 40 kids, yay.
I don't think it's the man versus woman. However, I do have to ask this question, and I'm interested to see what you guys say. Would she have stayed and had 4 kids if it wasn't Cam Newton?
How many baby mamas you know to have 4 babies for a Negro who ain't got shit?
Okay, so it's not money. And then I saw that somebody said in the chat, well, if she would have been married, she should have been married. Being married doesn't
Means nothing.
No, it means nothing.
If this
now,
man
do you think she would have
is
stayed if she was married? Because she even said it's not like we were married.
right. No,
we
I
see
mean, if
women
it's
say?
not working, it's not working. But him having an outside child, it sounded like it was a deal breaker. Not that they had problems in their relationship. I can respect Big Mac when he said, my motto was, don't sleep with a woman I wouldn't marry. I think that is so dope. That is so responsible. That is so manly of you. I'm not going to sleep with a woman. I mean, that is respecting yourself as a man. And I give you props for that, Big Mac. Even though we don't agree on everything, brother, I give you props for that.
Well, we have Infamous Hicks who has a good point. And he says a lot of men is scared of commitment. We want our cake and eat it too. Well, at some point we have to stop letting them have the cake. Don't even give them a brownie, Jesus. You have to have some point of stopping and respecting yourself and not going for the dream. Now, Dr. Alicia, am I off on that? Do I really feel, I mean, we have to be responsible for ourselves and our bodies as well as men. So I'm not putting men toward women. I'm just saying for somewhere along the line, we got this all twisted up and we in a different thing. So how do we turn this thing around to fix it, Jesus? Fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the men who are in this sort of thinking where they just go around and have all these babies, and as long as they have enough money to care for them, that's fine. And to me, I don't see the development in that. And I do think that we are in this crisis of this trend going on where we look up to people who are in the arrested development, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, I can't stop thinking about the humanness of it all, the actual children, those beautiful children and their souls. Like, they want to see their mother become a wife. They want to know that, oh my gosh, they really want to know that my mom, who is half of me, is loved enough by my father so that he would want to marry her. He puts her and commits to her. Therefore, he's committed to me as a person. I can't imagine what it's like to spend time with a father who just goes off and spends time with another family and leaving you there thinking, what's wrong with me that my dad wasn't fulfilled and happy enough to be in this household, committed to me, going off someone else. You're going to have, unless they really sort through these things, just brokenness in these families. Yeah, we can shine them up and put them on matching outfits and take these photos. I'm not interested in the photos. I'm interested in what's going on behind this. It takes not only a commitment to your family to be committed to the family 24/7, but it takes a commitment to grow. It takes a commitment to be challenged, to become better as an individual, as a business person. I mean, he is really missing out. He is missing out. And really I see sadness in Kia, but I also, when I look at Cam Newton, and I do know a little bit about his history because he's talked about his childhood quite a bit. And he was shamed a lot as a child. So I understand why he would feel like he's not quite worthy to live up to this standard of being a husband, honestly. But I see sadness in men like that. They are not fulfilled. And what is it? How much is it going to take for him to really feel like he is a whole person? He's worthy too to be a husband, to be there for them. It's a feeling that they get when they're like, wow, my children called on me and they wanted me to be there, and I come through for them. It's this feeling of esteem that he is not getting to. So women like Kia feel sad, but I also see sadness in these men who are too afraid because they're afraid to grow and they're afraid to commit to their own development.
So you feel bad for deadbeats?
Yes, I do. I do
don't
feel bad for deadbeats because they're missing out on so much.
I don't feel bad for deadbeats.
Okay, well then we're definitely going to unpack that. We're there, now we've gone down a different road, but that is true. We need to unpack all aspects, but we'll be right back after this message.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Hey, grow
Thank
your money,
you.
don't
We
blow
love
your
it.
money.
You got to get that money right and tight. But let's talk about that. We talk about deadbeat. We talk about, when we say deadbeat, most people think money first. But I think quality of life for our children first. I mean, what do you think about that, Dr. Lene? We both know that it's equally important, but we're discussing deadbeat. Are these fathers who are having multiple children? Because Cam says he wants more kids. Like, is that being a deadbeat?
Being a deadbeat is a person who does not show up for their children in a lively manner. It's not tied to money. It's tied to, I agree with you, quality of life. You can be a father who does not have a lot to give financially, but still show up and put into your child emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You might not be able to support from the financial perspective. But every man has a choice. You get to make a choice. You get to decide if you're going to be an active, loving parent, or if you're going to be selfish and only think about yourself. Now, I say that to say this, because women don't get a pass. There are some raggedy ass baby mamas that take their children's father through the dirt and force these men to be like, there's nothing I could do. I have a friend who pays good money to his baby mama, and he missed a payment and she put him in jail for child support, and he pays his stuff like she did it to be facetious, and that caused that caused turmoil, that caused a problem with the kid. Like, how you know what I'm saying? We got kids together. So women are not exempt. Women put men in a position sometimes to have to take a step back because I have to take care of my peace of mind because you are crazy. But for people who don't have that situation, it's how you show up. My son's father is a great father. He's had my back. Financially, he was not a financial provider, but he was an emotional provider. He was a good father to my son. He showed up when I needed him, when I was starting my business and things was rough. He took my son for 2 years. Like, he had my back and he supported me. Financially, not so. We joke about to this day. I'd be like, I'm gonna put it on your tab. And his tab is like $1 million, but he gave me the support that I needed. Him and my son have a great relationship. And so I don't consider him to be a deadbeat dad, even though he wasn't able to financially contribute. He helped to make sure that my son is a whole person, healthy, knows how to act. And I also think that children will learn, good or bad, whether the dad is present or not present, your children will learn one way or the other.
Agree. But then you said something that was very important. You still said your child's father still stepped up. He stepped up and took your son and for 2 years while you were also building. So that's still working together as a great co-parenting situation. At least you had an understanding. You know, Kia did mention co-parenting, but how are you co-parenting when you have so many other babies with so many other women? And do you want your children around those other women? What are their intentions? We get into so much more with that. But I want to turn around now. Let's talk about, you know, what do we do as women when this happens, if this happens to us? You know, she left with 4 kids. So what are some financial steps that women should prepare for in case of a possibility of single parenthood? Now, I know I'm just going to say this as well. I'm going to throw that question to you, Constance, but it's not always that someone cheats. Sometimes you may lose a spouse. But we have to be able to be prepared for these things. In a way, this is kind of a death of a marriage, death of a relationship as well. So, Constance, what do we do as women to get our financial house in order?
So first I want to tell Joe Corley, shut the hell up. Dr. Joe, come on here and see me. Dr. Joe was on our show last week. So I see him on there talking mess about me in the comments. I just wanted to address you real quick. Dr. Joe said you disagree with me for no apparent reason. Anyway, I had to do that because I know he came up here to mess with me. So how do you prepare to be a single parent or to be a single mother? There's the idea of, you know, the whole, a man should do one thing and a woman, you know, we have our roles, right? If we want a husband to be the stay at home, the breadwinner, and the wife, you don't do that with the anticipation that you're going to break up, but there may be a situation where you do. What do you do? I don't know. I can tell you, for me, because I was the breadwinner, I was able to, let me just tell you, I lost $1 million going through everything that I went through. And I had all the kids. And when I tell you, when I went through my divorce, it was so contentious that, he fought me for everything tooth and nail, right? Everything. I want this. I want that. I want everything. I want you to suffer and I want everything. And when I decided to move to the East Coast and one of my children decided to stay back, then it hurt me so bad. I just wanted all my babies to be with me. And so my son got in trouble. I was like, got him. So I called his dad. I was like, hey, he needs to come with me because, you know, he getting in trouble out there. He was like, okay. Now, this man fought me for everything else, tooth and nail. But when I said I need to take my son back, that was the easiest conversation I had had. Now, when we were married, he was very active. He was there. He was the one picking him up from school, taking him to soccer, all of those things. The moment that we separated, all that went away. And it's unfortunate because, you know, sometimes for the kids, my daughter said, either my daughter or my son. So I would rather have not had a father in the home than to have had him and now he's no longer there. I wish I would have never had a father, because that's even worse, to have somebody that's present and then no longer there at all. He's not somebody I could talk to. He's not somebody I could really, you know, he's doing his own thing. Right. So that's the unfortunate part, because we could talk about how it feels for the woman, how she could be empowered. I mean, for me, I wish the best for him because of them, because I know at the end of the day, if something happened to them, they would be devastated. So I hate that for them. So I don't have any ill will or ill feelings towards him. I still encourage them to, you know, be a little bit kinder and, you know, have a little bit more patience with him, because you just don't know what people are going through, just for their sake. But for me, I'm good. I'm great. I just feel bad for my kids as a woman. I just, you know, and you know, as women, we get up and do what the hell we got to do. We just do. That's just how we got to pick up the slack. We got to go to work. We got to make shit happen for our kids. We don't have the luxury to say no. I don't have my kids call me every other day for money. Son just called me today. How are you, Mom? He just called me before I got on here. How are you, Mom? I already know what that means. Girl, how much you want? How much money you need? Boy, you got to get a job.
Do not open with, can I have? Open with, how is your day, Mom?
Well, I already know I know what is how is your day. I know what that means. That means, how much you need, boy? No, just want to talk to you real quick before, you know. Okay, I got that out the way. How much do you need? But they come to me. The other day, I was my son. Just went grocery shopping, and my youngest son, he wanted me to go to, do you want a DoorDash? I was like, no, the food is like falling out the refrigerator. We got so much, but you don't want to eat nothing up in here. Call your dad. And so, he would rather call my mama, my daddy, my brother, my sister than to call his dad, because his dad will give him a 30-minute lecture before he gives him money. So he said, no, I got $50 from him last week for some Crocs. And I said, $50. When's the last time you got money before then? I think it was back in June. So I said, let me see your Cash App. I looked at the Cash App. Then the last time before that was January. These Negroes asked me to eat every day. I got to support them. You know what I'm saying? They big. My boys are 6 foot tall. They eat all day. And so it's unfortunate when men just don't show up, and they're not there, not only financially. Okay, that's cool. I could do that. But physically too, that's the challenge.
That is a challenge, but I still want to know how we can help women get ideas to financially support themselves in case something like this happens. So, Dr. Alicia, I know you talked to us about matters of the heart, but what can we advise in your therapy? Would you advise something like that? Would you talk to someone, like if you see something's going wrong, would you slip in? You might want to start looking into. Would you suggest it?
I'm just listening to Constance here, and I'm kind of laughing because listen, my children, they have a bonus dad and they have a biological dad. Both these men make way more money than I do, but they're going to come to me for money all the time. I'm their comfort person. I'm like, ask one of your rich fathers. So I don't make as much money as their fathers do. So maybe I did a good choice in picking someone, but they were just like, yeah, but you're my comfort person. And, I think what it is that I try to involve. And I think this is my recommendation for people, is to just really do not give up the possibility of involving the biological father as much as you can in their connection. Like really try to encourage them to continue this connection. And sometimes the mom, who everybody talks to me, right? So I'm the link in the house, but I try to foster and try to encourage connections there. And because I know it's better for them on the long run. It wasn't so bad, So, that's my advice. Never give up on encouraging, sending pictures, sending photos, sharing tender times. These men, we have to humanize. Everybody needs to be humanized, right? These men feel pain and they go through things, right? I don't know how some of these fathers feel, but I can imagine that they're lonely and sad, and they really do want to be a good father. And they themselves maybe put marriage on such a big pedestal that they just feel like they're not good enough to be able to reach those heights. Maybe they just feel like such a failure on so many different levels. And again, like I just think that us as moms really just need to encourage this and never give up on encouraging great communication, great connection between children and their parents. And hopefully there'll be a little more of a connection there where they feel like they can go to more than just one person for things.
I love how you are so compassionate.
Oh my God, thank you.
Raggedy ass ninjas.
I was waiting to say it. She looks at things with butterflies and
right for raggedy ass ninjas.
Okay, Dr. Lene, what is your advice then? Let's take the butterfly wings off. What you got? What can women do?
So I'm gonna do it two first so I can make it fast, because I know we got to go to commercial. Number one, kids come to the moms because we are easy. That's why they come to us. Constance said, if they don't want to sit through a 30-minute lecture and conversation, if they go to either one of their rich daddies, they got to talk about, what is this money for? How are you going to use it? Where are you going to spend it? Am I getting it back? If I send my son to my dad, nah, mama, I don't want to. Same thing with Constance. Well, when's the last time you asked him for something? Well, what did he do? Well, call him. And sometimes I got to call him and preface it. Hey, I told him to call you. So he can you handle it? Like, it's just a different thing to go from your mom to your dad. That's why they come to us. I saw in my Cash App the other day, since 2023, $3,309. I was like, oh my God, trust me when I tell you, you got to figure out your own Uber and your own food. Thank you, Lord.
Lene,
But that
23,000 for my 20-year-old in 1 year. 23,000.
these are whole different conversations. Now, to your original question, Lala, have your own money, sis. You can be married, you can be having a good life, but everybody's mama said, have your own little something, something, put a little something to the side for yourself. I personally am not of the mind of depending on a man for everything, meaning your toiletries, your travel, your transportation. Like, you should have some of your own money, even if you have a good man. I like the Ellises, Kadeen and DeVille. DeVille says, I make the money. She makes the money. She has her own business. She has her own brand, but that's her money. I pay the bills. I am the man. So let the man be the man, take care of the bills, do the thing, but still have your own thing. Even as a stay-at-home mom, you can have your own thing. You can do something. I feel sad, sorrowful for women who are stay-at-home moms and take care of the family, because that is a job. That is a job. But if you don't have any finances and that man walks out and you are left with the family and the kids, and that responsibility falls on you, you have no skill set, you have no money, do both. That would be my advice. Do both. Be a good wife, be a good mother, take care of the family, but also make sure that you have something to take care of you should something go awry.
And see, that brings us right back to order, which we were at the top of the show. But we're going to take a break and get back into this conversation because it's hot. We're getting lots of great comments. And, this is something that's very emotional for all of us, relationships, period. But when you bring children into the matter, it even gets a little harder. So stay tuned.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
She had me
Have
weak.
your assignments.
I don't got enough room for you. She threw me off guard with that one. I was dying.
We have your assignment. Go ahead and get those fingers working and go on over to Spotify and give us 5 stars and take us on the road. I want us to watch the video one more time because we have definitely talked about, the financial aspect, the emotional aspect. If anybody's wrong, what should we look for? But let's look at it again and see if you get a different perspective out of what we see.
Through a public breakup, and that was that. And then me and my partner, we separated. So I'm a single mom of 5 kids later. People always ask, "Oh, why are you what happened with your marriage?" Or why you're not in a relationship? And I always say I was never married, but the relationship, I thought it was going towards marriage. And then my partner at the time had an outside baby. And he kind of wanted to force it on me. And I wasn't really ready to, I don't really know how to describe this or talk about this. He had a baby outside of our relationship that I was not okay with. And we were not married. So I'm like, I'm not about to deal with this because I thought what we had was something way more special than the way you're treating it. And I felt like I had no choice but to leave. I had to choose me and my kids over what he was about to put me through. So here we are.
Can I say something though? It's so sad watching her because you could still see the pain all over her. And imagine her having this man that she loves. He goes to the next woman. Now he's with the next woman, playing house with that woman. Now woman's like, I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna serve him. I'm gonna and this man don't care about nobody because he like, I'm still looking for my wife. And he's just leaving a trail of bodies behind. So freaking sad. My heart goes out to her because you could feel her energetically, the pain and the heartbreak in her voice. And then you add these kids onto that, right? So she's heartbroken, which is extremely sad. But then you add kids into the mix of this foolishness because you don't know how to exercise self-control. That's really sad.
Okay, so am I the only one who's old school on here and who was taught that before you even get married, your butt needs to go into therapy and have premarital counseling before you do that? Because I took that very seriously, and so did my husband. And I think that's one of the reasons that we are still together, because we put our expectations out on the table before we said I do. I came from, my parents weren't married. My mother was 18 years old. She left me at an aunt's house. I didn't grow up with my father. My father lived in the neighborhood. I was given to an aunt, blah, blah, blah. But still, I knew what I wanted. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I knew that I needed to have that conversation to protect my heart and to make sure that we were going along the same path, because he also had other dreams and other issues, from his growing up past. And we wanted to make sure we were looking at the right thing. I think it should be mandatory. I think it should. Dr. Lene, do you think that we really need to get back to the principles of having these pre-counseling before marriage?
In some places it is mandatory. Certain churches require it. Certain ministers won't marry you unless you have it. I think it's a good idea. I think that it's a good practice. I don't necessarily think that it's for everybody, because you're going to have a lot of people who say they don't want to do it. So I think it comes back to communication. I do think that there are certain conversations that you need to have before you get married. Now, they weren't getting married, so I don't think it mattered in this situation, but just in general, yes. Too many times women, maybe men, probably men too, let's say women and men, they see red flags in a person and they think that when we get married, it'll get better, or they'll stop. Or
red flags be looking like Six Flags when you feeling a Negro.
Yes. And so having some of those conversations before, I've talked to people like, well, what did he say about children before you guys got married? Well, he said he didn't want children before we got married, but I just knew he would change his mind when we got married. No, sis. He said he didn't want children before you got married. Believe that. So whether it's counseling and somebody else is coming in and doing the moderating and pulling it out, or you yourself as a man or woman saying, where are you in these things? Business, credit, life, whatever the case might be, whatever the things that are important to you, or the red flags that you see. Hey, is that how you always are? Is that how you've always been? Are these things going to change when we get married? Like have that dialogue, because too many people think that for some reason, once a ring goes on, things are going to be different. If he's a cheater before you got married, he's going to cheat after you got married too. Boom. Or her. If she beat on you before, these things don't change. A person is who they are, whether you are married to them or not. But counseling, if you can't advocate for yourself, go through counseling. But if you can't advocate for yourself, ask these questions up front. It's not pink.
But you know what's funny? What's funny is it brings me back to the story of when my husband and I got serious. Like we were good friends first, but then when we started dating, and I would just all the time, I'm a talker. Surprise, I'm a talker. And he looked at me with such genuine love, no joke, guys. He looked at me, he goes, "Do you talk this much all the time?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay." So he was the quiet one. And so now, he's the talker with me. We talk together, but I just found that very interesting because that's something we did talk about, something as simple as that. Do you talk all the time? So, Dr. Alicia, do you think that the counseling is something that we should really push before people get into those? And if you see that your relationship is getting serious, should you still go to therapy if marriage is not the end goal?
Yeah, I'm always, I'm at the position right now where I know that premarital counseling is so important. And And I don't understand why people don't do it, because weddings are expensive. Divorce is expensive. Pre-marriage counseling is a fraction of that. And I don't
Like that part right there.
People be still paying for their marriage when they get divorced.
That's true. She said
Yeah.
marriage is expensive, divorce is expensive. God dang it. Go ahead and invest a little bit in some premarital counseling.
I mean, we're not that expensive, all things considered. And it's the time and effort and the commitment. Like, had she sat down before she had children, and this is for all of us, right? You sit down and you just start making your intentions explicit, your expectations explicit. And you know what? Just asking that question of a guy, hey, where is this going? We already have one child, 2 children, like Lene's scenario. You can just say, where is this headed to? You know, and if he's not willing to even go with you, or she's not willing to go with you to counseling, that says a lot. That's saying that they're not really committed. And do not live in denial. Do not, like, you know, what's it, Maya Angelou or Oprah Winfrey? If they show you who they are, you got to believe them.
Yeah,
That's so true. Like, where along the way were you trying to talk about these issues in the relationship, and then the other partner just wanted to like not want to talk about it at all? That's a big red flag. They're not as committed to you as you thought that they would have. Again, are you in love with a fantasy? Are you in love with this ideal? Or is it actually this real person that you're in love with? Like, it's always great as a solution. If you don't go into counseling, at least have a good support system, friendship group, or some group where you can talk to someone and that person can snap you out of it and say, look, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. Why do you still believe that this man really wants to commit to you?
Because penis.
I love him, though. I love him. It's been
You get that good. You be looking through rose-colored glasses, them red flags. You like, wait, like, it's unfortunate, you know.
I like six
okay, so Constance, so Q actually says red flags that you deal with sometimes in a dating relationship situation is totally different when you have to live it every day forever. People don't realize that. So do you agree or disagree with that, Constance?
Absolutely. So, and I also think that, you know, a person can only show their representative for so long. You know, before you actually even engage sexually, like, check this person out, see what's going on, see if there are any. My cutoff game is cold. You know why? Because I wait. My cutoff game is easy because I don't get caught up in getting dickmatized, because I know what can happen. I know the possibilities. So you got to get to know people. So even before you jump into to the household with them, don't have sex with them. That way you can see what it is that you're really dealing with, and you ain't looking through those rose-colored glasses.
I have to agree with that, but I absolutely love what Eve just said. She said that most people need counseling, period, before even getting into relationships. Guys, you have to know yourself and love yourself and be strong in yourself before you could even give yourself to anyone else. Otherwise, you're trying to fly on somebody else's, your happiness, your everything is tied to someone else's coattails. And how do we instill that into our young girls and young men before they even start getting into this, what my mama used to say, smell yourself situations? How do we do that, Dr. Lene?
Self-love. I mean, it really boils down to self-love. And I think that it is individual, right? Each person needs to love themselves. If we're talking about Key and Cam specifically, Cam loved himself enough to be like, I don't want to be married. I want to have a lot of babies. I love you, but marrying you is not where I'm at right now. I release you. Be free. Go find some real love, because I'm about to go over here and do this thing. It's her saying, which she did, I love myself enough to to show and create a better example for my kids. So I need to take myself out of this situation. But it's teaching young women and young men what self-love looks like, how not to hurt somebody else, how to communicate, how to advocate, how to say what you think and how you feel. I will raise my hand and say, for many and many and many years, I did not do that. I used whatever he wanted. That's what I went along with. I call it going along to get along. You don't want to rock the boat. So if he says he just wants to date for a little while before you do that. And then before you know it, it's 2 years later, 3 years later. And before you know, you be like, well, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? I don't do that now, but that came with age, and that came with self-awareness and reflection, talking to Dr. Alicia, listening to her a lot, getting to be better at speaking up for myself. No, I do want a relationship. That's not what you want? Okay. Then, and that's cool. That's okay. Just say that. Don't drag me along. Don't, you know what I'm saying? But teaching women and men that it's okay to say what you want. And if that person is not able to, capable, or in the place where they can give it to you, saying like Constance said, bye. It's cool to say, it's okay to say bye and be adamant about where you want to go, what you want to have, how you want to be treated, how you want to be loved, whatever the case might be. I think we're in a place and a time and a day and age where we can do that. I'm going to do my closing real quick. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. You can find me on all social media at I am Dr. Lene Javette. I am a business coach, a monetization strategist. I help Black service-based entrepreneurs to triple their revenue by branding their brilliance and getting closer to their 4 C's with clarity, confidence, clients, and coins. And I'll end there. Oh, we lost our host.
All right. So I guess I'll go because we want the good doctor to diagnose us last. So listen, Dr. Lene, I agree self-love is important, but penis is a thing. Digmatization is a thing. So,
but if you have your self-love, you nah.
I know, but so like,
you still get
yeah, you can love the hell out of yourself. You get so that good is like, oh. So I'm just saying, just wait before you lay. That's all I'm saying. And then, you know what, just like you said, at the older you get, I think you kind of, and as you start to really understand what it is you want, what you need, your desires and all that stuff, you can make those better judgments and better decisions. But I say just assess the situation first, y'all. Like, stop jumping into bed with people on the first date. You grown. Hey, do what you want to do. Your ass get digmatized and caught up with some BS, some toxic BS, because now you're trauma bonded and now you have this soul tie. That's on you. So we got to just make better decisions as women. And I'm only saying this for women because I just want us to be accountable, because they only do what we allow them to do. And that's the bottom line. So where can you find me? Everywhere. I am Constance Carter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And listen, I don't know if y'all see my boy Dave Hollister. Y'all know Dave Hollister on the Sanga? Well, he and I are getting ready to start a podcast. So we're going to actually we'll be live this week and talking about some topics. So you guys stay tuned, because David and I are about to be we're going to be talking about some things that you guys really like. So stay tuned.
Lastly, Dr. Alicia, what's your final thoughts?
Dave Hollister wrote some really good, beautiful love songs. So it'd be great to get some inspiration from him and some thoughts of him. Maybe he can be inspired to come up with some more music. Yeah. So being captivated in the bedroom, it can color you. And just realize that's the beauty of falling in love and being in this process. So you really have to give it time, because that kind of wears off. You know, it wears off after a while. Then you can really see that person for who and what they are, the good and the bad of them. And then you do make a conscious choice about, when you show each other your flaws, then you make a decision about, is this really worth it to kind of work through some of these things? You know, you can work through issues. There could be some red flags that have come up in that person, and maybe the person that you're with can help you through some of these things. So self-love needs to be maintained, but at the same time, we can't expect to say goodbye at the first sign of something uncomfortable for us. Maybe it's an opportunity to grow, or maybe it's an opportunity to say goodbye. So you just never really know, and you have to go within, and as long as you maintain your self-love, I think that's so important. So anybody who wants to reach out to me, you can find me at coachingwithdralicia.com. Instagram, follow me on the gram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia.
Thank you, Dr. Alicia. And my final thing is, you have to do you. You have to have self-worth in yourself before you get into these relationships, I think someone made it a very clear point that a lot of times we need therapy ourselves before we go into some other relationship till we bring our drama and drag our drama with it as well. And I think that it's not a bad thing to be able to go into therapy. A lot of our community sees it as a bad thing. It is not. It's just a part of life, because you just can't keep carrying that baggage around. What did Erykah Badu say? Bag lady. We don't need that. We need to leave that alone. But you can find me at bit.ly, Laura Key Info, and I have a lot of free resources for you there, and all my social media there as well. So listen, guys, at the end of the day, this conversation isn't about Kia or Cam. It's all about women knowing their value, protecting their peace, and securing their financial future. So whether you're dealing with a high-profile athlete or someone with a regular job, your worth isn't dependent on that relationship. As Black women, it's time we recognize that having our financial independence is just as important as emotional security. So let's not just build relationships, let's build our lives and our money too. So Queens, let's keep the conversation going. And we want to make sure that everybody who has commented, please, we'll know we come back on YouTube and we always answer you there too. So if you still have things to say, come see it. So thank you to my queens, Dr. Lene, Dr. Alicia, and Constance for sitting down and having this conversation with us. But before we go, guys, we want to remind you that you can text the word Queens to 87948 to get updates when we go live. And don't forget that you can catch Fly Nubian Money on Spotify. Today's a special day, though, y'all. We have a birthday girl in the house.
Virgo Queen. Are you Virgo?
Dr. Lene.
You're Virgo?
Yes.
Virgo Queen in the house.
Right. So we wish you so many blessings, Dr. Lene. Happy birthday, beautiful. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Lene. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
Me and Dr. Alicia didn't want to mess up the song because you sang it so beautifully.
Y'all was supposed to come in with me. I better.
You're gonna mess it
I
up.
have stolen Constance's 40 Great. Not only myself has adopted it, but me and 3 of my girlfriends, all of us turned 48 this year. And they was like, oh yeah, we 40 Great. That's it. That's
100%.
Love it. Love it.
Welcome to the club, baby. It's fun over here.
We'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, loves.